Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
His stuff is so good.
Yeah,
and in our book clubs, I belong to 2 book clubs, and we talked about it. They didn't see anything different. Why did he win all of these awards? Because he made it pure and simple.
That's right.
The whole world could understand it. And as I saw people rising up all across the earth, Dr. Mecca,
the whole earth, everywhere.
I knew it's this man, and maybe, what's the sister's name? Incarceration. What's her name? Michelle Alexander.
Yes.
And then there's some other new writers who just made this stuff so plain that Ray Charles could see it.
Uh-huh.
Without putting his glasses on.
I've been trying to get Michelle Alexander to be my guest here, and she's so busy. I mean, but she told me one of these days she'll be my guest.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
And this young brother and his book, now I have not got it. The reparations. I need to get his reparations book because I'm thinking it's going to help us with it. This has to come now. If this follows where it is going, that people are genuine people, real people, and they understand that we are human beings as everybody else. And even though we have been dubbed as mean, evil, blah, 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 it is lies upon lies upon lies.
Absolutely. It's made up.
And that's not to say we're angels, because we're not. But it is to say that the kind of things that they have did in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of work experience, all of a sudden, we are the most needed workers on the planet.
Always been. We build this in the economy.
Planet.
Yeah.
And we have never made a decent salary. And Dr. Mecca, and I didn't get to share this with you before. I'm one of those people who the Holy Spirit kind of gives me something, a thought, a feeling, or a vision. And so it has been for the last 20 years about more that we should be doing with each other, for each other. My goal is to help us get our children to be more respectful of each other.
That's important.
Your brother, your neighbor.
That's right.
We must learn to love and respect each other. Even in our relationships, mom and dad,
that's fundamental.
We have to show our children how much we really care about each other.
True.
Then they can do it. And as we learn to do those things with each other, we will be able to have more strength in doing what we need to do to move forward. Our children can learn better. Mom and dad will be able to pick up better teachers who don't have a genuine interest in this child. And then we move to get them removed. And I think we really need to do this. Dr. Mecca, we cannot have other people taking over, supposedly teaching our children, and they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. When my first child started school, they're going to tell me he wouldn't read above the 8th grade level. Now they're claiming we read on the 3rd grade level in 11th grade.
Right.
You know, and all the kind of stuff that they setting it up. They set it up. And they're not teaching. They are there to collect their pay, not necessarily to teach. Not necessarily to teach. Yeah. And it's sad because they put, well, you know, it used to be, if I had a problem, they put me in a class with other children who had that problem.
Right.
So the teacher didn't spend the whole day trying to get us to stop doing and meddling, so the other children could learn.
You know, James Baldwin, I'm echoing what James Baldwin had said, the same thing about you know, our kids and how some teachers who are not from their background don't really care about them, little kids, and they get to know about it right away. They know that, you know, I used to be an elementary school teacher myself for many years, and I know the first thing the kid looks at is whether you care about him or her.
That's right.
And once they figure that out, that you really do care, they begin to learn very voraciously. So, you're right.
That's right. That's right. And that's why in a one-room classroom, you could teach 6 different grades.
Sure.
Because you gave the children the work that they needed to do, and then you gave them a little separate time and attention. and you went to the next group and you gave them a little separate time.
And you cared about them.
So we do that.
Right.
And it worked. It worked. Oh, Dr. Beck, I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you. Thank you. Madeline Dunn,
Madeline,
87, going to be close to 90. I don't know. I'm going to have to call you and get some secrets from you because I don't know how you did it. But congratulations
Drink
again.
your water. Drink your water.
Water.
Your
Okay.
water.
That's it?
Do your exercise.
Exercise, drink some water. Okay. I'm going to write. I'm just writing it down right now. Water and exercise. Thank you so much, Miss Madeline Dunn. Thank you for your call. Appreciate that. We're going to go to Brother Joe from Germantown. What is the meaning of July 4th to you, sir?
Well, before I talk about Frederick Douglass and the 4th of July, notice I said 4th of July, not July. To get the little play on words, Dr. Mack, 4th of July.
Yeah. 4th of July, Frederick Douglass, home in Washington, D.C. When I was a student in D.C., I used to go visit his home in Anacostia. Powerful essays and writings that I read.
And Dr. Mack, I'm going to comment on that, but let me say first to Ms. Dunn, may my Almighty God Allah bless her to see beyond her 88th birthday and many, many more, because she's a lady that got a lot of wisdom.
Yes, indeed.
I may disagree with Ms. Dunn on some occasions, but it's still with respect, you know what I mean? Because I learn a lot from her because she's a lady of wisdom, and I hope she see not only her 90th birthday, but her 100th birthday and beyond.
120.
Like
me too. Right. She just told me what to do: drink water and do exercise. I'm going to follow that rule now.
That's a good way of living. That's longevity, Dr. Mack.
That's right.
Good.
That's right.
Dr. Mack, before I talk about what's the name, Frederick Douglass, about Ms. Dunn was talking about how we demonize as a people, how, you know, see, that goes back to what Dr. King said, and that, I don't know if you heard the speech where he said, get the language right tonight, get the language right. Everything black is negative, everything black is bad. Everything white is good. Everything white is angelic and stuff like that. So that's why we definitely, like Dr. King said, got to get the language right, because we see we live in a society, especially with that white supremacist in the White House, and you got Negroes from Massachusetts that can support. I don't understand how people can support any respectable black man can support somebody like him is beyond me. But it's just, you know. But Dr. McKee, I told Cody this morning, Leo Terrell is a black civil rights attorney. He's a big supporter of Donald Trump. I say any black person that go to that Negro for any kind of law,
sorry about that, Eric.
They out of their mind, because, like I said, all his clients should be white supremacists. Any black person will go to Leo Terrell and stuff. It's crazy. But anyway, Dr. McKee, real quick, on Frederick Douglass, when he said, what do the 4th of July mean to me as a black man? Well, I take the position that Frederick Douglass takes. I don't celebrate the 4th of July. You know what I mean? Because that's their independence, is not mine. I support our own people. I mean, people, like I support some of the marches and protests that's going on in the city as we speak right now. I support the speech by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who's maybe still speaking right now and stuff. I didn't even check my computer wasn't working. Some of us can wait and get the DVD, because this is what I support. I don't support theirs. They can have their own fun. They can go to the beach, Caucasian people. They can go to the cookout, whatever. They can do what they do, because they have a right. That's their celebration. But my people are not treated right in this country, and I would never go and support the founding fathers when there was a bunch of rapists, pedophiles, liars, and stuff. Like I said, that's their day. They can support it and stuff. I don't put no money on their holiday, because I don't support white racism and white supremacy. So they don't really mean nothing to me. To me, this is they really sit back and reflect and collect my thoughts. Think about our people that has set the trail the blaze, path for us, and our young people that's out there protesting to move forward and stuff. That's how I deal with this day and stuff like that. I don't put no money in this economy this day, because again, this day don't mean anything to me, because like I said, you know, we live in a country where a black man can still get a cop, put his knee on his neck, and get murdered in front of the whole world. And you see a young brother in Colorado, one of the cops that was involved in his murder, they just got fired because they made a video and it was doing a reenactment of his chokehold. You know, the brother down in Colorado, I forgot the young man's name. I mean, McLean and stuff, yeah. So we see clearly the mindset in this country and stuff. So, hey, again, that's their day. They can have it. Only holiday I respect in this country, Dr. Megan, I told you this, is Labor Day. And only because I respect working class people, whether they're black, white, Latino, Asian, people that work and try to make a living for a livable wage for their families, and they unionize, where they got workers support workers' rights. I support that's the only holiday to do, and of course Dr. King's day, of course. But that's the only one. The only two I really respect is Dr. King's Day and Labor Day, because I respect people's right to make a livable wage for their family. But as far as the 4th of July, the day that they call Christmas, which really wasn't Christ's birthday, and Thanksgiving Day when they slaughtered and murdered our Native Americans. I don't support them kind of days. Memorial, even with Memorial Day, I look at that as like section so only because of the fact that I use that day not for the separate American military and military warmonger, and I support Memorial Day. I remember my father, who was in the Navy. I remember my grandmother. I remember Malcolm X, people like that, Sojourner Truth, and so on and so forth. So that's why I use Memorial Day for that. But I don't go out there again celebrating it like white folks do.
You don't celebrate
so
July 4th.
That's pretty much my comments for the day, Dr. Mack.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joe. Appreciate your call. We're having a conversation today about the meaning of July 4th, and if you want to chime in and tell us what you feel about July 4th, what the meaning of July 4th is to the mass of the United States. It's an Independence Day Declaration, 1776, but what does it mean to you today, 2020? We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with Wasset and I think a guy from Massachusetts. We'll be right back.
Solutions on Word.
Hosted by Dwayne Royster and Amadi Braxton.
Solutions on Word.
Exploring solutions to national, state, and local issues through the lens of race and gender.
Solutions on Word.
Fridays, 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. Exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Solutions is sponsored by Power Interfaith Movement, working towards life, liberty, and democracy for all.
Oak Street Health knows their patients. Every day, health is the best way to improve their quality of life. That's why Oak Street's providers take the time to listen to each patient, understand their individual circumstances, and develop comprehensive care plans that address their needs. Oak Street Health offers a better way to care for seniors and help you understand insurance. Welcome visits are encouraged in Oak Street Transportation. Call Oak Street Health Parkside now, 215-392-0305. Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you could save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
Or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Welcome back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. This show is local, national, and international. On today's edition, we're having a conversation of the meaning and the implications of July 4th, the essence. What does it mean to you as a listener, as an American citizen? I don't care what your status is in this country, recent immigrant, persons who've been born and raised here. Your color, does it make a difference? Your ethnicity. What is the meaning of July 4th? To you as an individual, to you as a consumer, to you as an American, or even if you're a visitor, the meaning of July 4th. We know what Frederick Douglass had said about July 4th some 200 years ago. We also know what the Native Americans will tell you about the implications of July 4th. There's an event going on today, and started yesterday in Mount Rushmore, where Native American land is being, according to Native Americans, being desecrated by Trump, the president. We also know that on Juneteenth, a very sacred day, I would think, for African Americans, that Trump did some crazy things out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So, but for you, though, individually, what does that mean, July 4th? What are you doing for July 4th? Does it mean anything to you? We have a call from Wasset. Mr. Wasset lives in Southwest Philadelphia. Mr. Wasset, welcome to the show.
Greetings, Dr. Emeka. How are you?
Doing fine, sir. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to follow. So one thing first, I respect you, and I'm going to follow a little bit of what Joe said, and I have a couple of points to make, and I appreciate it. You allowing me to make those points.
Sure.
I'm going to read a couple of lines from Frederick Douglass's speeches because I think that oftentimes we miss the mark when we don't take the opportunity to really dissect what he said. And the speech is really long.
It is.
But it's very long.
Yeah.
I've read it several times.
Mm-hmm.
But listen to just these two lines. What to the American slave is your 4th of July?
Mm-hmm.
I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim.
Mm-hmm.
To him, your celebration is a sham.
Mm-hmm.
Your boasted liberty an unholy license.
Right.
Your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless.
Mm.
Your denunciations of tyrant, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery.
Mm.
Now, that's just one paragraph. And so
he was pretty direct too.
He was being very direct, and as you can imagine, for me, I follow the sentiments of my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. I will never wave the red, white, and blue flag because it's because it is a sham.
You said never?
Why would I wave the red, white, and blue when I can wave the red, black, and green?
Mm.
You tell me, when have black people in this country ever been free? They've never been free.
People argue that a black man ran this country for 8 years, just like Ta-Nehisi would say. A black man ran the country for 8 years, right?
Okay, so we're going to pair 8 years in comparison to how many hundreds of years?
Okay, I see your point.
And so what I'm saying is that I'm looking at the majority of the time that whites have been in rulership, and black people, there is nobody on this planet that is more patriotic than the black man.
It's true.
We've fought in all of their wars.
Yep.
We've done everything that they've asked us to do. And here we are in 2020, still begging for the right to be an American citizen. Whereas you have people that are just literally stepping off the boat and getting more rights and privileges than we've gotten for all the times that we've been here. So let me go on to my other point.
Sure.
There is a book, I don't know if you're familiar with it, by Ishaka Musa Barashango called Celebrating European Holidays, Mental Genocide.
Yes, I'm familiar with the book. I used to go to his church here, by the way, here in, I think in North Philadelphia, had a small church, right?
Yeah, I was a member of that church for like about 18 years.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't even have time to even try to explain to black people why they don't need to be celebrating any European days let alone the 4th of July. So that's that. Here's my closing.
But the contradiction here was said, here's the contradiction I find here. Crispus Attucks died fighting for this country, right? You know about Crispus Attucks. African-American people died in First World War, Second World War, in numbers to bring freedom to this country. So why then would you kind of not appreciate 4th of July when your own ancestors died to preserve this country?
Come on, Dr. Emeka. I'm assuming that you're just throwing stuff out there.
No,
like, you know, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
What difference does it make that you die for this country, but you die for the country, but you don't have the same rights? That's the same way that those brothers who fought in the Vietnam War and other wars, you go on over to another country to fight somebody, but then you come over here and you can't buy a house. You can't sit at the, so I'm assuming that that's a rhetorical question. But here's my last point.
Yeah.
My last point is this. The sad thing is that we live in a country where what we're talking about, our children have not learned and been educated on. I am in the process of working on a project where I'm going to try to create what we call Saturday Academy. And so the purpose of Saturday Academy, you're familiar with Carter G. Woodson.
Absolutely.
And as long ago as that book has been written, we are still the miseducated.
True. Yeah, miseducation.
We're still the miseducated Negro.
True.
What I'm asking, Dr. Emeka, from you and anybody who is listening, right now we're in the process of needing a space. I'm an educator. I've been in education for over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And I have other brothers and sisters in the area of science, in the area of history.
Okay.
We're ready to take on this project and start educating our children because right now we are being set up for failure, and the prison to the school to prison pipeline is real. We have to start educating our own children. So I close by saying, if you know, and I'm going to leave my email address, if you know of anybody or if you know of a space, and we don't really need a big space because we're going to grow this thing, but right now we need to create a space where we can educate our children. And let me say this. I'm working in a high school right now prior to COVID-19.
Okay.
Do you know that I'm working with high school students that cannot read? High school students in 11th and 12th grade that cannot read, and as they're reading 5th grade passages, every other word they're stumbling over.
Wow,
and
that's sad.
My friend, listen to this. I said this to my friend yesterday. If we cannot teach our children to read, we don't deserve to be free.
You know, we have trouble, because we have
our ancestors came over here, and they did not know the language. They did not know how to read, but they were able to teach themselves. How is it that black people can't even? We don't know how to read, and we're not even teaching our children how to read.
Frederick Douglass taught himself how to read. Actually, you know that.
Right. So that what I'm saying is that here we are. We're in institutions where our children don't know how to read. So here's what we need to do.
Okay.
We need to create Saturday Academy so that way we can teach our own children.
Good idea.
You
have an excellent idea.
My email address is MWLIMU WASET, the number 7 @gmail.com.
Okay.
If anybody is interested in being a part of the Saturday Academy, or if you know of a space where we can start organizing and have this school, please have them contact.
What's that email again, please? One more time.
Thank you. MW.
M as in Mary.
M as in Mary.
W.
L. IMU. W. A as in Africa. SET. The number 7.
7 @gmail.com.
@gmail.com. I have a lot of brothers and sisters who are interested.
Great.
Dr. Emeka, we're at the crossroads right now. We
Yeah.
have a unique opportunity in front of us based on what's going on.
Okay.
And in the words of the Black Panther Party, the guys who created it, we have to seize the time. The time is now.
Thank you, very well said. Keep up the good work, and I'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. July 4th, the meaning, the essence of July 4th. We know it's independence for the United States, for these United States in 1777. What does it mean to you today, going forward, 200 and something years after the meaning of July 4th? The meaning of July 4th. We have a caller from Massachusetts, I think. Joseph from Massachusetts. Welcome to the show, Joseph.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mecca. How you doing?
Doing fine. What's going on with you, and what's in your head, or what's in your mind?
I'll tell you what it means to me. I'm a history buff. I think you might figure that out. You know, like to your last caller, to each his own.
Yes.
I mean, gentlemen, choose your weapon, or Malcolm X would like to say, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock, Plymouth Rock landed on us.
That's right, Malcolm X, right. Yeah.
I lived in Boston public housing in Charlestown. You ever heard the term the Battle of Bunker Hill?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I put a sign up on my window right on Bunker Hill Road. Battle of Bunker Hill Part 2. You know, it's a lot of
What do you mean by that?
on. Well, what's happening in Massachusetts? Let me just refresh people's memory of what the Battle of Bunker Hill, how it was the turning point in the Tulsa independent revolution in 1776. I guess July 24th came after, a little time when they signed the independence. Well, Battle of Bunker Hill, there was 200 blue coats, American revolutionists, fighting off the British. Prescott was a very important person. And the British is in Boston. Bunker Hill, you can walk to downtown Boston from Charlestown. I lived there for 4 years. Charlestown Public Housing under Boston Housing Authority. Well, they attacked the British soldiers, and the British lost like 200 troops, and there was 200 in the blue coats, the revolutionists. And they didn't win, but they by that point, they realized they could defeat the British and get their independence. So, you know, in Massachusetts, it's a lot with the coronavirus, with the Black Lives Matter movement, with getting the first black quarterback after Tom Brady. You know how Elvis Presley became a rock star for white people? Well, Tom Brady's a rock star, not just for whites, blacks too. He traded to Tampa Bay, and they're still talking about it. Well, we're getting Cam Newton, black quarterback, so that's going to transform. You know about the busing days when racism took place. You know, Northern Ray, you remember the guy named Charles Stewart?
Yeah, but what's July 4th mean to you, though?
It means independence. It's like for Thanksgiving. You know, we were immigrants, came up in the 70s, but Americans made up our country immigrants.
Sure.
So for Thanksgiving, we eat everything but the turkey, but we make a turkey to show similarity. We get curry chicken, curry goat, oxtail, you know, Caribbean food. But we show respect that this is a country of our birth. This is where our kids grow up. They're part of it. So I go along with it. I'm with Donald Trump.
How come your guy Trump is over there in Mount Rushmore desecrating Native American land? And Native Americans are out and angry at him.
Come on, Dr. Mecca. When I went out in a year after Hurricane Katrina.
No, I'm talking about Mount Rushmore and what's going on today.
I know. I was talking about General Lee, Robert E. Lee's statue. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement raided Lee Circle. I went out there, catch our corner. You make good money. And they arrested 47 undocumented illegal immigrants right under General Robert E. Lee. In other words, racism is not what's really killing black people in America. It's these illegal immigrants taking American jobs. So all that means something to me. What do you expect the President Trump to do? Say, tear down Mount Rushmore? Tear down Andrew Jackson?
Why not? Why not?
Well, let's go.
The Native Americans who own the land are saying that's the desecration of their land, their ancestral land.
I'm
you don't care about Native Americans?
I love Native Americans.
Okay, so why are we desecrating their land?
I can't save the world, Dr. Mecca. You can't save the world. The United Nations can't save the world.
I can contribute to saving the world. I can contribute to telling the truth, at least. The Native Americans are saying, hey.
More power to the Native American. More power to the Coolie Chinese who work the railroad. More power to... You got to get it where you fit it. You can't get everybody involved. It's like the last point. When I first came to America, we had to play on the theater in school, in elementary school. They said we're going to make a rock soup since we don't have nothing else. Somebody screamed out, I got the meat. Another one called out, I got the tomato. I got the carrots. So I wanted to raise my hand, but I was just in this country, so I had to be quiet. I wanted to raise my hand. I said, can you give me my soup without the rocks, please? I mean, were you going to fight for the transgender like this last President Obama? He fought for the Catholic community, the Jewish community, the transgender, the gay, LGBTQ, everybody but black people. So what you going to do, fight for illegal immigrant when you got 8 million immigrant working in America?
We're talking about Native Americans' land being desecrated today and yesterday. That's the issue. You're going around the other issues. But
I'm a history buff.
We'll talk next week. Thanks a lot for your call. Appreciate it. You are a history buff. There's no doubt about that. But the issue we're talking about today is the meaning of July 4th. And what disturbs me, essentially, is this thing happening in Mount Rushmore, where Native Americans are very, very angry that Trump is using July 4th to desecrate their land, Mount Rushmore. That's some kind of a background there in terms of presidential politics. We will be right back. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with, I think, Dr. B, and first with Maurice first, and then Dr. B. We'll be right back.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
These are unprecedented times, challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. But we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Ys across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors. But we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at forward.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
And we're back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. If it is Saturday and it's 1 o'clock, God willing, I'm here having a conversation with you. Sometimes we have guests. Next week, we're going to have a guest, a young man who's a professor of statistics at the University of Maryland, talk to us about his own point of view from a black young person's academic point of view on the Black Lives Matter issue, how it has impacted him and the impact it has had on his students. Our guest next week. Black Lives Matter, point of view from a young African-American academic. He's a professor of statistics at the University of Maryland. We are having a conversation today about July 4th, the meaning and the implications of, for us, for you, for me, coming from All Shades of Life. And we wanted you to chime in so we can have a roundtable discussion, essentially speaking. What is the meaning of July 4th? We know the rendition of Frederick Douglass on July 4th. I'm very fond of Frederick Douglass' commentary about July 4th, his declaration, because I used to teach that particular comments he made at Temple many, many years ago. It was a very powerful speech where he really, really leveled down the American hypocrisy of freedom, of democracy, when a quarter of the nation was being held in captivity and crisis. Our next call here is from Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia. My man, Maurice, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for your invitation. You know, I love Jacob, but, you know, anybody that says that about our first black president is not really looking at history. And it hurts me because he's doing exactly what white people want, to deny and pothole our first president. Even if he did nothing but become the president, he's put the fear of God in white people that a black man could be president and have a black family be the head of the country. See, when people do all that nonsense talking, looking for potholes to talk bad about our blackness, I think they're afraid of being black. Because I'm so sick of it. Because what he did, he scared America. That's why we have a Trump. That's why they know a man that's about nothing is in office, because they're scared of the blackness. How we can go on national TV and turn on, and white folks love Obama. They love the family. They can say nothing bad about him, but I won't leave it at that. But you know how I deal with 4th of July?
No,
I just
tell us.
came from Perkiomen to visit some of my white friends, okay?
Some of your white friends, okay.
You know, that I love because they always treated me as an equal when we had conversations. I was guarded by the Gradyford prison for 16 years with nothing but white guards up there. And I got to meet the people around there. And they treated me as equals. Times I was sick or in trouble, they were there for me.
Wow.
You know, and what I'm trying to say is, when I went up to visit them, they said, Happy 4th of July. You know what I said to them?
What did you say?
Happy Christmas Addicts Day.
Oh, powerful.
And you know what?
Did they know about? Did they know something about Christmas Addicts though? Did they know something about him?
Oh, they know because they couldn't deny it because it's in the history books.
Okay.
And they were like, "Wow, why did you say that?" I said, "Because wasn't he the first man to die?"
He was.
And they could not deny it. As a matter of fact, the whole conversation when I was up there was all about that. Hey, you know, he was the first man to die.
That was great.
Hey, don't you think Black Lives Matter now? They're just confused, had the confused look on their face. I said, I'm not here to eat your potato salad with the raisins and whatnot, the non-seasoning and whatnot. I just came up here to visit you guys to let you know that I'm celebrating the day, but it's not 4th of July to me. It's a day in history. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But I'm here to celebrate Christmas Addicts because he is a true American hero, and I don't think anybody else could be greater because he gave his life. He was the first black man that we know of that gave his life for the country like that.
Absolutely.
So, you know, all these naysayers want to run around and talk about how black they are and this and that. I want to tell you one thing about Juneteenth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a day to be recognized, but it wasn't worth the paper it was written on because when you inform somebody 2 years later that they're free, they weren't free. And then afterwards, they wasn't free after that was done. You know, I'm so sick and tired of we ride in the streets. We got the recognition of the whole country that Black Lives Matter, and we take a holiday instead of saying we want stop and frisk. And I'll leave it at that.
And I thank you for your call. Appreciate that. We are having a discussion about what the meaning of July 4th is for you, the history of July 4th and what it means to you. And we have Dr. B, who lives in the great state of Delaware, with us today.
Hello, Dr. Mecca, Eric, Worldwide Word, and Lomax families, and special kudos to Sarah Lomax Reese and the Word producers and hosts for keeping us informed, grounded, and focused on what really matters in these multiple crises of pandemic, economy re-evolving, necessary uprisings, and the need for transformation. Please, Word listeners, get and renew your memberships to keep this vital information coming.
Indeed.
Dr. Mecca,
yes,
I don't think that I can add anything more than all of the previous callers, starting with Ms. Dunn, about seeing the 4th of July through the lens of Frederick Douglass and saying what does the 4th of July mean to the enslaved? Because if we look at all of the flaws in America that have been revealed during this pandemic, see, we've been in a state of not being conscious of really what has been going on, but the Band-Aid has been taken off. We must all see America for where it is right now. And as it relates to African Americans in America, we need to change the narrative to demand the money in the form of reparations and substantive change, and forget about the trinkets and symbols that they're offering us. I am so reminded of what the colonists said when they rebelled against the British. When in the course of human events, it is our duty to demand that America lives up to its creed and be inclusive and beneficial to all. I really personally think that as this economy has restructured itself and we've had the largest wealth transfer and the fourth industrial revolution all worldwide, that we must see that for America to survive when this is over, it must live up to its creed. But the sad part for me, Dr. Emeka, is how Caucasians do not understand that America is not living up to its creed for anyone. I am so reminded, even though they say it's not true, of Marie Antoinette telling the French before the Revolution, let them eat cake. And you're seeing over and over and over in America how the uber-rich continue to get uber-rich off the pain and suffering, not off the collective work and the collective processes of America and Americans, but off of the pain and suffering, with excruciating suffering inuring to certain groups in America. I look at Trump, whose grandfather came over here as a German immigrant, his grandfather and grandmother. His father married an Irish immigrant. He's married at least 2 immigrants. And these are the people who want to tell African Americans or people, pigmented people, they do not matter.
Right.
They're not important. They're not relevant. What is it that makes him and his ilk even perceive the fact that they have an unfair advantage or should have the ability to profit off the suffering of those who built this country while you tear them down? We've got to change these narratives. It hurts me when I hear us say, we don't want welfare. We don't want them to help us. We need to do it ourselves. Yeah, well, if they took everything that you had to be able to economically thrive, I'm talking about the Wall Streets, and I'm talking about the enslavement, the mass incarceration, the redlining, and all of the historical, systemic, and institutional ways in which African Americans have been held down. I'm not asking anybody to give me anything. I pay taxes too, and to pay my taxes be used to give other people benefit without even tacitly thinking that I should get some benefit from it is ridiculous.
It is.
So the 4th of July, the reason African Americans celebrate Juneteenth, by the way, Dr. Emeka, is not simply because of the 2.5-year delay of getting the message that they were free. It also has a lot to do with the fact that when they gathered, they had been scattered to different states, sold off to other parts of the country. So the Juneteenth celebration has survived because it was a mechanism for families to come back, reconnect, find out what had happened, and celebrate the fact that they could now...
Thanks for that history. Thanks for that history. There, we have so many callers here, Dr. B. I know maybe I'll have a show where you be my guest because you have so much history with you that our community needs to hear from you. But I want to thank you for calling. By the way, we just have so many callers on the line here. You want to round up, though? Go ahead.
I'm finished. I just think that we should make America, as Frederick Douglass said, live up to its creed for all of us, and especially those of us who built this country.
Good. Thank you so much. And again, I'm very fond of Frederick Douglass's home in Anacostia, Washington, D.C. Sometimes I visit there. I used to when I was a student there many, many times, and I had some clients around that area. Frederick Douglass, one of the greatest American thinkers, no question about that. We're having a conversation about July 4th, and we're going down to a man, Mr. Woody, the excellent barber in town. He's gone? Woody's gone. Woody, you can call me on my phone. You do have my cell number. Our last call here will be Dr. Doobie. He is going to be our guest next week. Dr. Doobie is an academic. He's a professor of statistics at Towson State University, and an African-American young man. He is going to be our guest next week to talk about the point of view of the African-American young academic, the thing about Black Lives Matter, and how African American young people should be encouraged to study science some more. We're going to hear from him for a minute or two before we end our show. Dr. Dubey, welcome to the show, sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ledger. First thing I wanted to say today is just, I know I don't want to hijack, but Robert Allen Payne was a good friend of mine, was murdered 4 years ago on this day, July 4th, a good friend of you two there. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Robbie Payne. But what I want to talk about real quick, and we're going to get into this more next week, is first of all, let's talk about the delta between celebrating Juneteenth and July 4th, right? Mm-hmm. So has Juneteenth, do you think that most people, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that most young African Americans have celebrated Juneteenth until this year?
Well, I think the issue of George, the slow motion execution of George, precipitated the idea, sort of kind of ignited that, and so I think it should be in the history books. I think Juneteenth should be a holiday that should be celebrated all over the nation, by the way, black, white, whatever color you are.
And this is a great thing that, but then also what happens is that July 4th is also a day of celebration for some people as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, well, I don't want to get too deep into we're going to talk about next week.
So we'll talk next week about this. We have so many callers here. We're going to have to go cut you short, Dr. Dubey. Next week, we will have you and probably another guest, two young people who are academics, who are in the academic field, talk to us about their impressions, their experiences in the academia, your experiences in the academia, and also how we can encourage our younger generation as we move on to our elderly generation, how they are coping with the Black Lives Matter in the academy, by the way. That's the essence of our discussion next week. And Dr. Dubey and one other person will be our guest, another intellectual will be our guest next week. That's it. You hear that sound? That means our program is about over. That's about justice. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to us today, be with us today. It's July 4th. Enjoy the rest of the day. Those of you who have to do the firecracks and the joys and the fun and the drinking and all that, just be careful. You know what I mean? Just be careful. The police are around. They are around all the corners of these streets. Don't get yourself to be a victim. I'll see you next week, and thank you, Eric, for being a great engineer you've always been. Don't go away. Please stick around for the next show. It's about money. Money. How to make money. I listen to that program because it's critical. Take good care of yourself. And if you see someone with that compassion, please give him or her one of yours because it's the right thing to do. Bye-bye now.